Welcome to the EOB podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Binh, and joining me is Senh Duong. Okay, should we talk about our predictions last weekend or last week in the last podcast?
Let's just talk about the positions instead of the actual figures.
Okay, good idea, good idea.
So what were we predicting to be number one?
I think we said it would be Goosebumps, and we were right. Yay!
Yeah, we were right. Let's stick with that. Let's just go with that and forget about the numbers.
Yeah, just ignore what we said last week. Yeah. So it came in number one, as expected, because I guess it has a more wide appeal. It's a family movie, I think in the same vein as The Night at the Museum with Ben Stiller. But this one stars Jack Black. So it's based on a best-selling, I don't know if it's best-selling or not, but it's a very, it has a lot of books in it, in the series, and it made $23.5 million over the weekend.
That's pretty good for a movie that's budgeted at relatively modest budget for effects movie, $58 million. And the books are bestsellers. I think worldwide, the entire series sold for I think there are 400 million copies sold. With the exception of Harry Potter is the best-selling book franchise or book series in the world of all time.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, but then kind of surprised with such a huge following, or how well it's sold. The take is only about 23.5.
Right. What was I predicting? Was I saying 40 to 45?
Should we go into that? Well, yeah, I think we were both going for 40. And I think most box office analysts were going somewhere there or a bit below, maybe 35 or so.
Right, so we were way up there.
Everyone was way off, but I think Sony was, I think, was kind of like temper expectations a bit,
Yeah. They did temper expectations. They were going for 15 to 18 million. Yeah, now they can say, hey, we surpassed our expectations.
Right. I mean, when I read these projections, I say, whoa, we were quite way over, and these guys, are quite low. And it seemed like they were, they knew more than we do.
yeah. Like you said, most box office analysts were at least projecting about 30 million. So it was kind of lower than what a lot of people predicted, but above what the studio was expecting. It's a decent figure depending on how it holds up. And maybe it'll hold up pretty well in the coming weeks because, Halloween's coming up. It has decent reviews, 72% on the tomato meter for this kind of movie. That's pretty good. It'll probably get to 60 million, but it all depends.
Well, it probably will. It has a cinema score, so that's that's in its favor. Like those movies, tend to good word of mouth, but tends to stay in theaters longer. It's not bad considering the budget, right? I mean, for an effects movie that only costs about let's round it up to 60. It's kind of like at the bare bottom of an effects movie, really, for 60 million, and they did that, and it made 23.5, and with the A cinema score, and reviews are good, and so I think probably, like you say, it's going to hold over well, with Halloween and all, and it is a family friendly movie, and I think we're going to watch it as well. So hey, that's the point.
Right. At the other end of the spectrum, Black Mass also opened around the same kind of figure. Black Mass looks like it's topping out at 60 million. So another thing to look out for. I think Goosebumps will have better legs, but we'll see.
Yeah, Black Mass is an R-rated movie, so kind of different group there.
Right. Let's just hope the action adventure family crowd offsets the horror genre.
Right. Who knows? We'll see next weekend and see how well it holds up. I mean, if it falls a lot, then we'll know that it'll disappear soon-ish. But if it's, I think if it's in the 40 range, it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. It'll be okay. Decent.
Yeah, it doesn't have the huge opening, but still.
Right. Should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on to number 2, The Martian. It dropped from its perch from the top spot last weekend. I mean, number 2 made 21.5 million. Just a couple million, like a million or more. Or then Goosebumps. Still not a bad hold.
Yeah, a decent hold. drop off more than its previous weeks at 42%. In 3 weeks, it's already made about 144 million domestically. And I think most of the drop off is probably worldwide it's already at 319 million. So it's doing really well everywhere. I think the larger than previous weekend's drop off can be attributed to Bridge of Spies, which is going for the same kind of audience. Oscar caliber dramas, thrillers.
Right, and it also lost some theaters.
Yeah, it also lost some screens. Bridge of Spies, Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, pretty well reviewed.
Hey, why don't we just jump into Bridge of Spies?
Yeah, pretty well reviewed, 93% on the tomato meter. It's the number 4 film following the Martian. I mean, number 3 film following the Martian at 15.4 million. At a budget of just 40 million, I'm surprised Steven Spielberg is able to do this movie for so little, and Tom Hanks.
Well, yeah, you'd think it would go up into the 60 range, but
minimum.
Did someone took a pay cut here?
Well, probably. I think probably everyone took a paycheck. Pay cut. Tom Hanks probably took a pay cut. Everyone involved probably took a pay cut.
Right, because it's
like 40 million.
Right, it's a period piece, right, with all the cars, all the sets, trains.
Yeah,
it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
Yeah, I'm surprised Spielberg is able to make it for so little.
Maybe because he convinced everyone to take a pay cut, because if it costs more, they probably wouldn't be able to make this one movie. Maybe a condition for funding this movie is like, hey, you need to make it for 40 million.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Plus, Steven Spielberg has always been known to make movies for under the budget. He's always been very good about not going over budget. Sounds like something that he does in the past and continues to do. It's actually the right move because remember last week we were talking about, hey, are people still into the Cold War? Does people still even talk about the Cold War? And maybe they figured that, hey, you know what? The Cold War is not as interesting, or as a subject matter is not as talked about as much anymore. And that's probably why they agree on a lower budget.
Yeah, well, see, Spielberg's last couple movies, they are period pieces. Starting with Warhorse, then Lincoln, now Bridge of Spies. In Munich back in 2005, and then of course he had that last Indiana Jones movie and the Adventures of Tin. So guess he's into he's into these historical productions.
Right, and kudos to him and the studios who keep the budget low, because at 40 million, 15.4 million is a solid outing. Mm-hmm. But if this movie was budgeted at 60 million or any higher, this would be considered a disappointment.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, like I say, probably Spielberg was able to convince Tom Hanks and himself to take a pay cut for this, and everyone, because I don't see it's rare that he could make period drama for 40 million.
Yeah, right. Especially with A-list director like himself and an A-list actor like Tom Hanks.
Right. Like a normal director couldn't do it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right. But the projection, the 15.4 million is lower than what we were predicting. You were going for 30, 35?
Yeah, 35. I say, hey, why not? Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks.
Right. I was going for 20 to 25 or 25 to 30.
Yeah, 25 to 30.
Yeah, we were both way high, but in terms of the relative position, we were kind of right. But our figures are way high. And I think most people in the industry were predicting higher numbers too.
Yeah, you expect, because they advertised the heck out of this movie to the adults. Mm-hmm. You see it in news sites, and like, for example, New York Times and others. But maybe it could be that, hey, this subject matter, like you say, it's kind of passé.
Although with 93% on the tomato meter and this Oscar season, this could have legs and could eventually make it up to the 70 million, 80 million range.
Yeah, like you say, it's not a movie that people want to watch. Rush out and watch right away. Mm-hmm. But it's something, considering the pedigree involved, right? The people involved, they would want to check out later.
Right.
It's not a must see, but something to check out.
But most movies targeting the older audience, they tend to be more lazy. They tend to stay in theaters longer.
No, and 40, it's not going to do too bad, right? And there's still the foreign market, overseas market, and I guess most importantly, right? They're going, for the awards with this one.
I mean, even Warhorse, I was surprised that it was eventually able to make it up to 80 million. When it opened wide, it opened to about 14.5 million, the 3-day tick, Warhorse, and eventually ended up making 80 million. So I can see Bridge of Spies following that kind of trajectory.
Yeah. We are in the fall, right, and when the winter, and it's gonna slow down, and it's gonna favor these movies that's gonna stay in theaters, and this is one of them.
Right.
That's gonna probably just stay there and into the next year. Because what else is there, right? I mean, January they're gonna continue to dump these obligated movies,
right.
And horror movies, unless they throw a superhero movie in there somehow, or Liam Neeson decides to do another one. So who knows?
Right.
All right, number 4.
Guillermo del Toro's gothic horror movie, Crimson Peak, did about 13 million over the weekend at a budget of 55 million. That's kind of so-so numbers, not great. Not good. Okay.
Before the name changed to Crimson Peak, it was called Haunted House. It's pretty generic, but it's probably be a better name for it anyway, because what is Crimson Peak? But Del Toro, people liked him. He has his fans.
Yeah,
his career trajectory and his box office performance always seemed like it's kind of like a poor man's Tim Burton. He has
it's always a little. The openings are always a little lower than you would expect for someone who has such a following, such a strong following. And his films tend to be pretty well reviewed. Even Crimson Peak, a horror movie, 69% on the tomato meter. In this genre, that's pretty high. We were expecting it to do better, right?
We were. Well, we thought it would do, or I said it would do about 15. You were going for 10 to 15, so which is kind of in range there.
Yeah, so we were at least right about one of them.
Yeah, kind of, but I did went low because hey, it is Del Toro, and his movie historically just didn't perform well for some reason. Like even with Pan and his other movies, the Hellboy movies, right?
Pan is not his though.
Oh, Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh yeah, Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah,
and even the Hellboy movies, they were very well reviewed. People say they love it, but then just box office.
They do okay. They're not bombs, but they're not like runaway hits.
Right. Even Pacific Rim.
Yeah, even Pacific Rim. It was well reviewed. It did about 100 million. But the budget was 190 million. So if not for its worldwide take, if not for China, worldwide it made 400 million. They probably made back their money. They probably didn't lose any money. It's one of those things where WB is like, we could let him do a sequel or not. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's just like this talented guy, but just couldn't find the audience for some reason.
Yeah.
He deserved, people who admire him, say that he deserves a wider audience, but for some reason, no matter what he does, it doesn't take. The only movie that cracked 100 million is Pacific Rim, and that costs a lot of money to make.
Yeah, right. So I guess with him is like Jake Gyllenhaal. If he stars in a movie, you can count on him making 50 million. But just remember that it's going to make 50 million tops, and you got to budget it around less than that, 30 million. With Guillermo del Toro, it might be one of these things where his movies will make between 60 to 100 million, probably 75 million average, and you have to budget for that. And with Crimson Peak, they did, 55 million. Although for a haunted house movie, a horror movie, 55 million is kind of high.
Well, they thought it would do better, I guess. Yeah. He has a following with the Hellboy, right? You would think the fans of his through that would want to watch it, because he did do Blade 2, right? He did do The Devil's Backbone and, Mimic. Yeah. And those are well-reviewed, horror movies.
Yeah. And Blade 2, I thought, was the best Blade movie.
Yeah. But then again, hey, where are the people? You would expect that, hey, it's a Del Toro movie. But regardless who's in it, right?
Well, in his defense, his movies have never starred big star. Blade was Wesley Snipes, and he's kind of like one of those borderline A-lister action star. Blade was his biggest franchise, and they make like 70 million. The last one made 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
And his other action movies are like in the mid 40s to low 50s. Another guy who opens movies to huge numbers. And then, the Hellboy movies has Ron Perlman, who has no draw at the box office. If not for Hellboy, he would be going direct to video. And then even Pacific Rim is Charlie Hunnam, who's not exactly a big draw at the box office. Yeah. Sure, he's popular for the Sons of Anarchy TV show on cable, but he's not a box office draw yet. So in his defense, he's never been paired with a big name star yet.
Okay. Okay, that's the only excuse we can come up with, really, right?
Yeah, but because like if we compare him to Tim Burton, well, Tim Burton at least have Johnny Depp.
That's why I say he's like a poor man's Tim Burton. Even Tim Burton movie. Sure, some once in a while he has all this breakout hits, but most of his movies, not most, but his movies sometimes make the 50 million range as well.
Yeah, if you go for the super Aussie Fossey art crowd.
Right.
Like I said, I mean the Guillermo del Toro's like his muse seems to be Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman is in a lot of his movies, and Ron Perlman, he's good in the Hellboy movies, but he's not a box office draw. Not like Johnny Depp, for instance.
Right. Okay.
So in his defense, he hasn't been paired up with like a super bankable, recognizable star yet.
All right. And I think he hasn't found his franchise yet. I mean, like everyone has a franchise, like the actors has a franchise where, hey, he or she is that person. Right. And he hasn't settled on one yet.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he can do with a big name A-lister then. Like someone who can open movies.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious as well because I suspect.
Because it definitely seems like he has the talent and he has the vision, but he hasn't been paired up with someone who's just big name star.
Yeah. The thing is, this is what I fear is that even if he got that big name star, he's gonna
still do the same thing.
Yeah, he's gonna put that person in a horror movie. So I don't know. All right. That's it for Crimson Peak. 12.8 million, well below our expectation, but I guess you could say
actually within our expectations.
Within, you could say, within, because we already took Del Toro's history into account.
Yeah.
Okay, how about we move on to number 5, Hotel Transylvania 2. It made 12.2 million, experienced a 40% drop off from its previous weekend, and it's already 4 weeks in theaters already. It made 136 million domestic.
It's still outpacing the first film, so by like 15% or so. So it's doing good.
Not much else we can say about this, except that, hey, Adam Sandler is going to continue to do this. We'll see Hotel Transylvania 3. I think the movie costs about 70, 80 million to make?
Yeah, so it's a very profitable movie for Sony.
Right, and let's take a look at the worldwide figure. Worldwide is at 267.
Not bad. Okay, let's move on to Pan. 5.6 million, drop off by 62 million. And after 2 weeks, it's only made about 26 million. It costs 150 million and it's disappearing from theaters fast. This is John Carter level bomb.
It is. It didn't open well, and the drop off is over 60%. Huge.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know what to say. A movie about Peter Pan that costs 150 million. It stars Hugh Jackman. I think I believe I called him Jack Human.
Oh, the last time.
In one of the podcasts. So I want to correct that. It's Hugh Jackman.
Right. I think the tone, like we said last week, the tone and the look and feel is just all off. It's like really dark. It's it's not what you expect Peter Pan to be. They try to throw in that fantasy element, with all these monsters and creatures, but it feels more like a horror movie than a movie about, a boy who doesn't grow up, who just goes out and have fun and goes on an adventure. I think it's, like we said last week, this whole thing with WB about making things darker and edgier, and something like Peter Pan is more bright and sunny, than dark and edgy, for instance.
Right, and that really doesn't fit the Pan image well. I mean, because I bet most of people who grew up are used to the Disney's take, right?
Yeah,
and with their various direct-to-video titles as well, Tinkerbell, and, et cetera, et cetera. And also, whenever you cast British actors, in the leading role, they're kind of dicey. It's kind of like the Chronicles of Narnia film series. They always didn't really perform well, except Harry Potter, of course. Right. But that's a huge phenomenon. But if you take the less timely series, I guess, like the Chronicles of Narnia, if you take a look at it, it did okay, but didn't blow up. I think the same thing with Pan too. I mean, if they cast a regular, American actor or someone with an American accent, it probably would perform the same. But it wouldn't have this weird disconnect. There is a cultural differences, I think.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure. But I think the main thing is I just thought the whole look and feel was just off.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. It's like, this is not the Pan that we knew. It's just like you turn a children movie into a horror movie or a thriller. It's like, that's not the thing that we know. That's not the thing we're familiar with. And I'm sure that they want to do a different take on it and, try to get away from the Disney cutesy, everybody's happy kind of thing. Maybe it's not the type of tone for this movie.
Right. Or maybe, or like you said, maybe they try to differentiate themselves too much. I think a good comparison would be the live action version of The Jungle Book. You watch the trailer and it's exactly what you would expect from a live action version of that movie.
But that's the Disney version, right?
Yeah. John Favreau's directing the live action one, and when you watch it, it's exactly what you would expect a live action version of the animated feature would look like and would be. It's one of those things where they made it live action. They used the latest and greatest special effects to turn that old classic and update it with modern effects. And it didn't try to make it darker or edgier. It's just like, well, this is what you know and love. We're just going to make it more realistic. Back then, the only way we can make this movie was through animation because we don't have the technology yet. But now that we have the technology, we're just going to remake it and give you something that we can do with the latest and greatest special effects.
Right. And, Disney got some very famous people for that movie. Unlike Pan. I mean, sure, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. I mean, Pan, they do have big stars. The only problem is, it's WB's, like, hey, let's make things darker and edgier because The Dark Knight did so well.
Right.
They forget that it's called The Dark Knight for a reason. He's supposed to be dark.
Well, if you're going to make it dark, you want Christopher Nolan directing it, right?
Right. Or Tim Burton.
Yeah, he would be an interesting thing. But then again, it would probably make in the 50-60 million range, and he would probably cast his old regular and probably get Johnny Depp for cheap.
Yeah. Well, I think if it was Tim Burton, he would put Johnny Depp in here, and they could make 100 million or more.
Right, and Helena Bonham Carter, hey, she's gonna be in too.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely that they'll look very different from the old Peter Pan, and at least it'll look interesting.
But
because Tim Burton is a visionary.
Sure, but his movies, like box office wise, it's kind of hit and miss.
When he's with big name stars, they're mostly hits. He could go really big. Let's put it this way.
Right, he could, but hey, Dark Shadow.
But he can also go. Yeah.
Dark Shadow says hi.
Yeah. I think we keep Pan, enough hours down.
All right. Yes. Pan. Keep panning Pan. All right.
Yeah. Keep panning Pan. Right.
All right. Let's move on to number 7. The Intern.
Yes.
In its 4th week already, made 5.4 million over the weekend, and hey, it's nearing 60. Right now, it's at 58 million.
Still holding up decently well.
Yes. Yeah, it's only a 38% drop off. So
yeah, unlike Pan, this is something that WB got right.
Again, it's a movie that's there. I wasn't expecting anything big from it, but hey, it did its job. I guess it's tend toward the older woman crowd. you know.
And Nancy Meyer's gonna do the woman equivalent of going fishing for 6 years.
All right, she did one already. She did her job. She's telling other directors, "Hey, now you take over. I'm gonna join James Cameron."
She's gonna go fishing for 6 years.
Right, right.
She's probably one of the most consistent woman directors, at the box office.
And I think that's the best term to describe her. Is like, she doesn't have any like duds. Mm-hmm. It's always performing at the same level.
And they're always leggy. They always open and they stay in theaters and they make their money, in the long term, not the short term.
Yeah, and she really didn't go out of her lane, right?
Yeah,
she make these type of movies.
Right, for the Star Wars universe or galaxy or universe. You know how they were saying over the weekend that they want to bring in women directors? I'm not sure she's right for it, but hey, she is one of the most consistent, in terms of box office, women directors out there.
You know what? I think this gender gap, it's gonna take a while to resolve. I don't think we'll get there soon, even though they say they will.
But they say they're gonna start casting women directors to direct the other Star Wars movies.
We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it, because that's what they want to do. Because they might have a different take on this, and it's just kind of like Marvel, right? They have an idea what the movie is.
It'll be interesting to throw her into the mix, because you know how they're throwing in these action women directors now into the mix. The most common name is the name you hear a lot is Catherine Bigelow, but hey, maybe.
Well, wasn't she Spielberg's ex-wife or something like that?
No,
or James Cameron's
James Cameron's ex-wife. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, it's something that they want. It's like, do they trust these women directors? Is what I'm saying. It's like they have an idea of what they want, what Star Wars universe to be like. It's like, do they trust those directors to hand over, whatever it is?
Right now, they're trying to get women directors. There's a thing out like, hey, we want women directors in the directing Star Wars movies.
Yeah, sure, but it's just kind of like the Thor movie, right? Okay, we hire you, and then we'll just kick you off because we don't agree with you. Well, I'll see it when it's there. Okay, I'll just say, okay, that's what they want. Okay, that's where they're going toward. They're making effort, which is a good thing, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, they're gonna see it to completion. That's what I want to see. Prove it. Not just going through the motion and then say, oh, we have creative differences, so we decide to part ways.
Right. Although in Marvel's defense, it's not just with women directors. They parted ways with male directors midway through too.
Yeah, true. That's also the thing. Is like they have this vision, or they're gonna allow people, women or otherwise, right? Because they're gonna have to do their thing, right? I mean, if the directors are interchangeable, then really it's just paying lip service. Okay, you have to follow our orders. If that's the case, then you're just paying lip service, saying, oh yeah, we just cast a woman director just because it looks good.
Because it's politically correct.
The true test is to allow them to impose their vision on the movie, right? That's what casting a director or a woman's director is all about, and not just say, hey, we just need a worker.
Well, like you said, we'll see when the names pop up and it's on Variety and Hollywood Reporter, and then let's see if they see it through completion.
Right. I mean, yeah, they might report something that doesn't mean anything until, hey, you see it all through completion. It's projecting on the screen. They can always do someone. Okay, oh yeah, no, we don't agree with that vision, so we're gonna part ways.
Right. Some things you look out for.
Right.
Although I don't think Nancy Meyers is right for it, but hey, she has been consistent.
That's true. Let's move
on. Man, how we went from the Intern to Star Wars.
They're all related, all the same, telling the same stories. Okay, number 8, Sicario made 4.5 million in its 5th week, and it's closing in at 35 million total.
Mm-hmm. With a 30 million budget, it's not a bad outing, but with great reviews, I think we were kind of expecting more from it, right?
Right. It's in Oscar talks, right? It's one of his movies that's supposedly competing for something. Yeah. And it's just not there. Not on anyone's radar. 35 million is nothing to scoff at, but for a movie with such aspirations, you'd expect that more people were going to see it.
Right. And it looks like it'll top out at 45 million, which is not bad for a $30 million budget, but because of all the Oscar talk, the great reviews, I think we were expecting a little bit more. But hey, Lionsgate will make a profit on this. So
yeah. But hey, who knows? It might, it might win some awards with all those.
And they could, yeah.
Yeah, they have lots of awards these days,
Right.
with the various groups. So it might win something from somebody. Taken in a vacuum, I guess. It did all right.
Yeah, taken in a vacuum. Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 9, Woodlawn, a faith-based movie, sports movie, a football movie. Did 4.1 million over the weekend. Did better than you and I expected, right? We were predicting 2 million or somewhere around there.
Yes.
So this one did okay. I don't see this being a big budget movie.
No, and it looks like it's filmed well too. It's a football movie and it has some good action scenes in it. 4 million is, like you say, it's not bad for a faith-based movie. It's not War Room, right?
Yeah,
it's decent considering. And like I say, I think the quality of these faith-based movies is getting better, even though there's still some duds out there that's too preachy, I guess. I think sports and faith are two topics that goes in hand in hand, and it works well.
Right, yeah, sure. Because you hear it from these athletes all the time. When they do well, when they win a championship, I thank God.
Right. Okay, I guess that's it for Woodlawn.
Number 10, The Maze Runner, the Scorch Trials. 2.8 million this weekend, 50% drop off. 75.4 million total at a budget of 61 million. Let me see, the worldwide figure is at 256 million. Which for its budget is very good. It hasn't opened in China yet. It's still kind of off from, the first film made 345 million worldwide. Yeah, somewhere around there. Since it hasn't opened in China yet, it can still catch up. With such a modest budget, it's already a hit regardless of whether or not it does well in China. But because the first film did do 345 million worldwide, if this one is stuck at 260, it's still considered kind of disappointing.
Yeah, this is kind of like the mid-tier YA novel adaptations, kind of like the Divergent series.
Right.
It's competent. It gives you what you need, what you want to see from this, and they up the budget to make the visuals look better than the first movie.
Yeah, except I think the Maze Runner will be way more profitable than Divergent.
Right, because it's cheaper, right?
Yeah.
The important thing is that you could call it a success, right? Like YA novels or really hit and miss, right? You could have like Twilight level success, or you could have something like City of Bones.
Yeah, right.
To occupy the middle ground, within reasonable budget is pretty good.
Right. Yeah.
Especially considering that you can milk the other novels when you have a trilogy or a long running series. It's not a bad place to be.
Right. Anything in the top 50?
Just want to talk about what we said last week in the last podcast about these Chinese movies. I kind of took a look at the releases from like China Lion and also the outfit that released the Lost in Hong Kong. So it seems like it's movies specific. It's not really there's an increase money wise, but I think it's just these are blips.
I was thinking about it over the weekend too. You know what the difference is? All the other releases from China and Goodbye Mr. Loser and the other one, Lost in Hong Kong, they actually released it almost day and date. Like Goodbye Loser was released just a few weeks before it was released in the US. And same thing with Lost in Hong Kong. And I think that's probably the biggest reason, because Lost in Thailand was released like almost like a year or so after it premiered in China. And like the Ip Man movies were released like 2 or 3 years after the original release. And most of the other Hong Kong Chinese movies follow that pattern where, they release it a year or 2 or sometimes 3 years after, after everyone who's interested in seeing it have probably already owned the Blu-ray. So then all they're catching are the super hardcore fans who own the Blu-ray but want to head out and see it in the big screen. So I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons they release it day and date. Because Goodbye Loser is closing in at 1 million, which is, like I said, a lot better than what these movies have done in the past. Sometimes they only make 20,000 or at the high end 60,000 or sometimes some of the Yumen movies 100,000. But that's it. And these are like mainland Chinese movies. They're not like Donnie Yen movies. At least Donnie Yen has a cult following. These are like mainlanders. The stars doesn't have as big of a foreign following, but because they release it day and day, almost day and day, I think that's probably the difference. That's probably why these movies are seeing better turnouts.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm taking a look at their 2005 releases, and it ranged widely from just like 100K to 1 million, right? But it doesn't seem to if they are releasing every movie day and date, you would think that some of the 2005 movies would do better. But
2015, you mean?
Yeah, 2015. You would think that they would do better, but it seems like it just depends on the movie.
That's kind of probably it. It could be the movie, but at the same time, I think the other thing is it is released a lot earlier, though. Even Go Away, Mr. Tumor, even that ended up making 286,000, and it was released nearly at the same time it was released in China. I think one thing that they're changing is they're releasing these movies a lot earlier instead of releasing them like years and afterwards.
Right.
They're releasing them within a few weeks of their debut in China. And, that makes sense. That's kind of how the Indian movies were done. The Indian movies debut like within a week or two after they debut in India. And that's probably why we're seeing, a bigger turnout. And it makes sense because, like, the Indian movies, I didn't even go out to see it because I already own all the DVDs. And even if I wanted to go see it, it's not playing in Sacramento.
Right.
I would have went out to see it, but still, I think a lot of people have already seen it, and there's no reason for them to head out after they have already seen it like once or twice and have already owned the DVD.
Right. What I'm just saying is that even though that is the case where they release it day and date everywhere, it just contributed like maybe like a small bump.
No, it's a huge bump though. Let's compare loss in Thailand to loss in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I mean, relatively speaking, right? Relatively speaking.
Well, I mean, like from 60,000 to over 1 million is a huge jump.
No, a huge bump. But I'm saying is that like maybe the market is not quite there just yet. I mean, take for example like the faith-based movie, right? Even something like Woodlawn made 40 million, in its opening weekend.
Yeah, oh, you mean 4 million? You mean 4 million.
For 4 million in its opening weekend. I mean, we're talking relatively speaking that even I guess you could say some of the movies that nobody kind of want to watch. There's not a lot of audience, but it managed to pull in like maybe 1 million or so in this opening weekend, right?
Well, these are movies that open in thousands of theaters.
Right. But
you're comparing, like Woodlawn, which opened to thousands of theaters, and indie movies, which opens in like the Goodbye Mr. Loser, 40 theaters. Its per screen average, is pretty decent. It's like 9,000. And even Lost in Hong Kong, the per screen average was like something like 20 or 30,000, which is, pretty good for a indie movie in limited screens. So I don't think these are blips because we're seeing overall they seem to be making more and they're released. And I think the main reason is because they're releasing them a lot earlier.
Well, I think we can both agree that it's trending upward.
Yeah.
Right?
By a lot, though. I mean, when going from 60,000 to 1 million, sure, compared to the wide releases, 1 million is like chump change. But when you compare it to the previous releases, like 60,000 to a couple million is
right. Exactly. So it's like going from 0 to 1 is like 100% increase, right?
Yeah. Right.
But, it is trending upward, which is I guess the thing to take away from this.
Yeah,
it's that that's the trend right there. Whether or not there will be a larger market for this, or how if they can capture that is another thing, right?
Yeah.
They have the advertisement, right? They have the day in day down, which is the most important thing, really, right? And the thing is, like, can they release it into more theaters or more locations? We'll have to see how that all works out.
Right. But I think that's a good thing, though, that they're able to release them a lot earlier. Instead of us having to wait for a couple years or, going to all these different sites to get the foreign DVD.
Right. Okay, so that's our China update of the week.
Right.
Except it's not China; it's just Chinese film in the U.S.
Yeah, and Goodbye, Mr. Loser made 190 million in China, so it's a huge hit. Same as
Huge.
Lost in Hong Kong.
I know, but when it's brought over here, it's like really, really small number.
Oh yeah. So, because it's only released in a dozen theaters.
Right.
But the screen averages are pretty high, which is
it is. But the thing is, like I say, can they expand beyond that? Can they do it? If they do expand, will the performance be better? So let's see how they can do this. I mean, like I say, we both agree that it's trending upwards, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's trying to build that audience.
Yeah, and one of the things that they're doing right is they're releasing them almost day and date, and it does has a huge impact.
Okay,
let's move on
to the openings.
Okay.
This weekend. So we're in the fall season. I think the studios are trying to lump everything together. They try to make it into the year.
Right.
So that's why we're seeing
3 or 4 wide releases a week.
5, yeah, maybe 5 wide releases a week. Considering that Steve Jobs is expanding.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Should we go down the list?
Sure.
Okay. Let's start with Jim and the Holograms.
I don't know. I don't get that crowd. I don't get that audience. So I'm not expecting huge things from it.
Okay, this is a Jason Blum production, right? The guy with the horror movies genre. He's expanding into different genres.
Well, John Chu.
Exactly.
Yeah. The guy who did the Step Up movies and the G.I. Joe
and the G.I. Joe movies.
And the Justin Bieber movies.
Right. Look, Jason Blum, right? He knows how to keep movies cheap. $5 million. Cost $5 million to make John and the Holograms.
Jim and the Holograms.
Oh yeah, Jim and the Holograms, excuse me.
Right.
Okay. It's a Jason Blum production. He kept the movie cheap, right? Just like his horror movies. This is
right.
Based on the 80s TV show about a rock band about regular girls, teenagers or whatever have you, or is it the woman? I'm not sure. But anyway, they have these devices which in the TV show, of course, that transform them into an alter ego, and then they can turn into a rock band and they can sing really well.
Okay.
It seems like Jim and the Hologram, the live action movie, they kind of took the name and Jim, is it? Jim and Holograms. Jim and the Holograms. They took the name, but they didn't. But they wrap into a regular story about group of teenage girls, and they started a band and they hit it big, and then and then it's like trying to find who you are, when fame and riches hit you.
Yeah. Which sounds kind of cliche.
It is a cliche, but hey, they wrapped it up in this movie, in this.
And they were able to make it for $5 million, which is good. Which bodes well for its profitability.
Yes, and Jason Blum got John Chu on a downside to make this movie.
Well, he did do the G.I. Joe.
Well, no, he did G.I. Joe movies, but then he was supposed to do a couple others, like maybe He-Man or whatever, but then there's some problem with that, and they say, okay, since you have some downtime, let's do this movie.
Okay, right. Which is kind of his forte.
John Chu did do the Step Up movies.
Yeah. And the Justin Bieber documentary, which was pretty successful. All right, so what number are you throwing at this?
Wow. Here the thing is, like, the target audience for this movie probably don't know who Jim and the Holograms are or what it is. I'm sure they're kind of aware of it, and but this movie, I think they try to social media the heck out of it. So who knows? This is one of those movies that could have a big following, after a while, because they're going the social media route. I don't know how that works, how it's going to work out. So
give me a number.
Give you a number. So I say somewhere in the 15 to 20 range.
Whoa, you're high on this.
It could also be 10. I don't know.
Okay, so give me a number then.
Now you just influenced me.
No.
Okay, let's go 15. Okay.
All right, you're going 15. Right. Yeah, I'm going low. I'm just going 5. Like I said, I'm probably underestimating this audience.
No, you could be right, but the teen audience is kind of fickle. We never know what works. Like all these horror movies, we say, "Oh, that's not going to do well." Then boom.
Yeah, right. Whoa, exactly. Right, exactly. So it could be 5 million or it could be 15.
I think this is the most that we disagreed with, right? The biggest
Yeah,
difference, maybe, or one of them. Yeah.
right. All
Okay,
right.
I'm betting on Jason Blum to deliver another hit.
All right. Okay, should we move on to the last witch hunter?
Yes, The Last Witch Hunter stars Vin Diesel as said witch hunter. It's a special effects action movie, with witches, werewolves, vampires, what have you.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd pairing though. I feel like Vin Diesel in a supernatural movie, but
It's been a while since he starred in his own movie.
yeah, and the thing with his track record is other than the Fast and Furious movies, his other films haven't. The first Triple X movie did well, but other than that, they haven't. They weren't like even the Riddick movies. They weren't like big blockbusters. So I don't know. I think this might follow that trend.
I'm seeing that as well. He is not The Rock.
Yeah, he's not the
You
one.
can't put him in any movie and expect it to do well. And like you say, this is a weird movie.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem to fit his character.
and it's kind of odd. It has Michael Caine and Elijah Wood. Kind of an odd movie.
Because they're kind of random.
Yeah, I'm going 10 million.
10 million. Wow. I'm gonna go 5 million more. Let's go 15. 15 to 20. How about
Okay.
that? 15 to 20
Okay.
million. Because hey, it is Vin Diesel. It is an action movie and with special effects. So I think there's always gonna be an audience with that. And he's coming off Furious 7.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be some effect, halo effect around that movie and into the Witch Hunter.
I can see that. Let's go to Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. Another Jason Blum production.
Yes.
Except this one is also going to debut on Netflix at the same time. So I'm not sure how it's going to affect it. Or maybe it's going to debut in Netflix a couple of weeks afterwards. So I know the window is very close.
I don't think it'll affect it that much since people who go to these movies, they're looking for entertainment. They don't necessarily go to watch a movie, but it's like, hey, it's something to do with friends, what have you. So I don't know.
And this franchise has dropped off by a lot. I mean, the first Paranormal Activity did 108 million total, and the second one did 85 million, and then the third one did 105 million, and then the fourth one did 54 million, and the previous one did 32 million. But the openings have been pretty huge. I mean, the first one opened to 41 million, second one opened to 53 million, the third one opened to 29 million, and then even the last one opened to about 18 million.
But we know horror movies, they pretty front loaded. So then it just drop like a rock afterwards.
Yeah, very front loaded. And this one, because of the whole Netflix dual debut, I'm not quite sure how that's gonna affect it. I'm going low on this one. I'm going 7 to 8 million.
Oh, 7 to 8 million.
With the Netflix thing, maybe I'll go lower. I'll go 5.
I can see that. I don't know, because it might have overstayed its welcome, this Paranormal Activity series.
Yeah, that's why it's going to Netflix.
It's going to Netflix, and it seems like this is a brand which they keep on trying to keep on milking. I was like, okay, another family that got sucked into this thing, and like they found these tapes, and right now they have the camera. They found a camera that records these things, and they can communicate with the past or whatever, or another dimension. Like another twist on this thing. And I feel that once you start explaining the mechanism of how these things work, kind of lost it.
Right, yeah.
It's like once you put a movie and put the character in space, that's like Jason in space or whatever. That's when you kind of lost it. It's like it became parody, of itself.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you there. I think it'll do probably 5.
Now let's go to Walk the Kasbah.
Yeah. It's a Bill Murray movie.
Bruce Willis. Kate Hudson, Zoe Deschanel, Danny McBride, Scott Conn,
yes.
Barry Levinson, directed by Barry Levinson. So
yes.
Good people involved.
And Bruce Willis stars as a stage man. I guess a manager.
Bill Murray.
Oh yeah, Bill Murray. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Bill Murray stars as this manager of a singer who went to one of the Kazans, so one of the former Soviet Union territories. Was it? Or is it in India? I don't know my geography here, but he went on. He went to.
I think it's the Middle East.
Is it the Middle East?
Yeah, it's the Middle East. Yeah.
Okay, one of those countries that are not very stable. You know, people they're at war, and Bruce Willis plays a soldier who's fighting in that war. Kind of an offbeat, weird movie.
Yeah, I'm not sure how big of an appeal it's gonna have. You know, I haven't heard much about it.
Yeah, you know, it seems like it's a. I don't know. It's an indie movie, really. I mean, even though they film it in the Middle East or wherever, you know.
It is.
That's the setting. You couldn't say it's really a comedy, even though there are funny parts in it. Because, like, hey, you know, they are in a war-torn country. They get shot at. You know, I'm sure that they're gonna play that for laughs. But how appealing is that?
So go for it.
5.
Dang, we have a lot of 5 movies, huh?
Well, I think we went high last weekend and a couple of weeks before that too. And I think we have to realize that we are in the fall season.
I haven't heard much about this. I'm just gonna go with 3 to 4 since I haven't heard much about it. And I'm not sure how attractive this premise is to your general audience.
I don't think it's made for the general audience. You know, you have to be in. You have to be in on a joke with this one. You know, they are in a supposedly Muslim country or whatever. You know, there's war going on, and they're gonna play that for laughs. You have to know the geopolitical situation, right? To get these jokes or to find the situation funny.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to Steve Jobs.
It expanded.
Yeah, it's expanding this weekend. It's done well, decent in its limited release. But the thing is, so has a Sicario, and when that expanded, it didn't do as well as people thought it would do. It did nearly crack the top 10 over the weekend at just 60 theaters. So expanding it to 2,400 theaters, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe 15?
You do go 15? Okay. I was thinking 10.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't look like Steve Jobs, you know, because like, hey, you know, Steve Jobs was still here, 2-3 years ago. We know who Steve Jobs is. We know how he looks like. What we see on screen is not Steve Jobs or what we know of him or how he looks like, you know, and he's played by Michael Fassbender. I can see where they're going with this. They try to kind of peel away this character to see who he really is instead of the person that we saw during his keynote speeches. You know, that he is a human being, that deep down he's really a flawed human being, right? He has his own problems going on, and then they're trying to show, okay, here's the showman, and here's this other guy, the real person, you know, when he didn't, you know, put on this mask of Steve Jobs. I can see where they're going with this, and I don't know. It's kind of a weird movie for me because, like I said, that I know what Steve Jobs looks like, and he looks nothing like Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
Or acts like him.
I can see where you're going. It is pretty well reviewed, though.
It is. No. If it's about a regular person, I can see that, you know, hey, yeah, this might be a good movie and people might be interested in it. But this movie is called Steve Jobs.
So you're going with 10?
I'm going with 10.
Okay, I'm going with 15.
I think one of these movies will surprise us. I think it might go over, but we don't know which one.
We'll see.
So we'll break out, and it could be that when it's all said and done, Goosebumps might come in number 1 again. Who knows? Because I don't know. Could Goosebumps? No, even the 50% drop it won't be number 1, right? Unless all the other movies way underperform.
Yeah. Which I could see happening too.
Yes, that's the thing.
Although, if anything, I see the Martian holding up a little bit better.
So you could say that it's possible that the Martian
might be
pop
number
back
1.
in number 1.
Yeah,
that's also
that would be interesting. Yeah.
It's not the only, you know, it's not the first time it happened.
So we'll see you next week.
All right. Okay. So come back next week and see how we did. And I'm looking for Jim and the Holograms to surprise us.
All right. We'll see.
I'm cheering for Jim. Really a truly outrageous movie.
Okay. See you guys next week.
Okay. Thanks for listening. We'll come back next week.